Are the American media too soft on Joe Biden? Polite questions, tendency to restraint, rare criticism of a campaign with restricted access. Joe Biden is less heckled by journalists than Donald Trump, recognize several media specialists, some justifying this gap by the methods they consider dangerous of the president Republican. The Hunter Biden affair, which evokes a supposed link between the ex-vice president and a Ukrainian company suspected of corruption, occupied a significant part of the media space last week. But Joe Biden wasn't asked about the matter for the first time until 2.5 days later, and he immediately brushed it off. The next day, the Democratic candidate did not speak to the media which follow him on a daily basis. And on Sunday, he only answered one question, about the flavor of his milkshake. Question of the day for Joe Biden, tweeted Jonathan Martin, New York Times political reporter, are you hiding this week because you only want to answer questions about milkshakes? Tuesday, Joe Biden announced to put his campaign on hiatus to prepare for the last presidential debate, scheduled for Thursday. For months, access to the Democratic candidate's campaign has been very limited. Only about 20 national or international media can closely follow his campaign, officially due to a pandemic. Less powerful questions. It would be logical that the journalists who cover the campaign are frustrated by the fact that they are not given a lot of information, and that there is no real daily access to the candidate, remarks Richard Benedetto, former White House correspondent for USA Today. However, the protests remained isolated. If I am a candidate and I realize that I can get by without getting involved in too many subjects or answering too many questions, why not continue? Asks Richard Benedetto. Today he is a professor at American University. Critics go beyond the Hunter Biden case, and the circle of conservative media and columnists who, like Donald Trump, have denounced his coverage. Last Thursday, the gap seemed glaring between Donald Trump's appearance on NBC, facing a fire of critical questions from journalist Savannah Guthrie, and that of the Democratic candidate on ABC, which started with appeased questions from the public. The questions to Biden were much less powerful than those to Trump, said Benedetto. There is no photo. In mid-September, the Politico site had already ruled that a similar ABC show with Donald Trump as a guest had turned to hostile interrogation, while Joe Biden was entitled, in a theoretically identical format on CNN, to what looked like a reunion between old friends. For me, the issue is not so much the media's leniency towards Biden as their aggressiveness in their coverage of President Trump, said Grant Rear, professor of political science at Syracuse University. You often get the impression that the media is supporting Joe Biden, he said. In fact, most of the major American dailies, which traditionally back one candidate or the other, back Joe Biden. New York Times managing editor Dean Baquet also admits to covering Donald Trump very aggressively, although he says he nevertheless aims for some form of objectivity. Not a normal campaign. Some experts justify more measured coverage of the Democratic candidate. In normal times, we could put more pressure on a candidate, if his opponent behaved normally, but in this case, that does not seem appropriate, said Gabriel Kahn, professor of journalism at the University of Southern California, USC Annenberg. When you have a candidate who calls the free press an enemy, refuses to answer direct questions, and swarms lies, comparing his media coverage to that of his rival is irrelevant, he says. To mention Biden's flaws in a way that would even make them even slightly comparable to Trump's would be a journalistic fault, wrote Dan Frumkin, editor of the political journalism site Press Watch, at the end of May. But in a normal campaign, issues like Biden's would generate a lot more coverage than they are currently receiving, he admitted. It is essential that Biden, if elected president, does not feel that he is sheltered from the spotlight of the press, warned this journalist with the Washington Post, the Huffington Post and The Intercept. The post-Trump period should be about restoring accountability and transparency, he wrote. And that won't happen with a submissive press.